You are now tuned into Flippin the Birds, a Philly Sports Network podcast.
What's going on, Eagles fans? Welcome all to episode 118 of Flippin the Birds. I'm Brian Cameron, alongside Morgan Burkett, Chris Infante, and today we are joined by two-time national champion, former Alabama tight end, Hale Hentges. How is everybody feeling tonight?
Good, man. I'm happy to have a special guest on. It's nice kicking off after our break, with someone special on, so that's always nice. It's been weird. It's been weird without the podcast, Brian? I don't know about you, but
there's a void in my life.
I find myself doing like strange things on Tuesday and Wednesday, just like pacing around the room and stuff. So it's nice to be back. It's nice to be occupied again.
I found myself just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I find myself just drinking. You know, it's the same thing every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. You don't feel like drinking without us?
Yeah, that's fine. It's much calmer.
Oh wow. We're not the calm ones apparently. Okay, Hale, how you feeling tonight, man?
Man, I'm feeling great. I've been on my fair share of podcasts and talk shows, and I got to say, this is the most polished, well-presented group that I've been on, and that intro was really nice. So I understand that I'm with some sophisticated individuals here.
We appreciate that. We're glad we had you fooled.
You fooled me.
Yeah.
Wait until we get 5 minutes in. It turns into PSN after hours.
You just be happy that we're not sponsored by Manscaped anymore.
Oh, that very, very awkward.
The puns got bad, man. They weren't even puns anymore. They were just over.
You know Chris very well.
It got us clicks.
But Hale, tell us more about your partnership with Zebra Sports. I know Chris was informed about Zebra Sports, how they've been working with the NFL and tracking next-gen stats and things of that sort.
Yeah, absolutely. We're the official on-field player tracker provider for the NFL on game day. And a lot of the stats that you see, right, are derived from our technology. We're really a tool that we use through RFID to kind of gather that data on XY coordinates and things like that to bring the game to life, right, to enhance it for viewers like us, where players are able to take that data and take their preparation study to the next level. And then you're seeing it on broadcast and things as well, catch probability, completion percentage over expected, yards after catch over expected. All these stats are like, where's this coming from, right? Those are all our tools who are helping find that stats and that data and really use that to enhance the experience.
Now, I think like this has been growing. It's been mounting, right? This whole analytics in football. In baseball, it's been around for a while. What do you think it is about advanced analytics that's really become important to the game, and why have we seen this kind of develop over the last couple of years?
So I think that football is an industry that has been largely unchanged for a really long time, and it's been ran by people who are older, right, and they've done something a certain way for a really long time. And what you're really seeing is a lot of young coaches and a lot of coaches who are understanding, the power of this, right. And understanding that, I can take that and I can take the data that we have here and it transforms the game. Now, all of a sudden, I have a smarter athlete, an athlete that's more well taken care of. And conversely, my team and, my processes and things like that are going to change. And, I really see that as teams start to adapt this technology, and we're really seeing that, they're getting so much out of it, right? And as a player, I could say that not having to go through that mentality of, it's going to be hard. Like, we're going to have to grind days, and you're going to have to fight through injuries and being tired. But, like, there's also data now that shows, like, man, I can see the load level that I put out at practice. I can see the amount of yards that I ran. I can see how fast that I ran, which albeit was not very fast. But, I can see that I'm working really hard. And now I have that concrete data to give to my coach, like, Coach, we're spin. We have been going, like, really, really hard. And they're understanding, maybe I need to pull it back. Maybe we need to take out, Devonta Smith and hold him out of a couple of series because he's hurting. He's hurting right now, and you're going to be better for it down the road.
Yeah, it is incredible to see all this stuff. I mean, especially for me because I'm a phys ed teacher, and during my phys ed work in college way back from 2007 to 11, I had to take exercise science, I had to take physiology, I had to take biomechanics, and in those biomechanics classes were those taking videos, just like putting the camera down on the ground floor level, running by it, and then timing every wherever your steps were. How did you get from point A to point B? How fast did you go? And then you calculate the miles per hour and all that stuff. And the fact that it's like so. And back then it was like, okay, this is not going to really go anywhere. It's just projects here and there. And this is now 11, 12 years ago. Yeah. Now all of a sudden you're seeing like graphics on the TV. You're watching this person go this way. Someone who ran a 4.6 40 in the combine. Oh, that guy sucks. And then you're just seeing him hit 22 miles per hour on the screen, and like, wait, for Cooper Kupp, Cooper Kupp wasn't like the fastest guy at the combine, but the dude is just unreal.
Yeah, exactly. And there's all kinds of stats that give way to For a long time, I was exactly the same. As a player, I'm like, I got to put the most stock and value into my 40-yard dash, and like I said, albeit is the reason why I'm still not playing the NFL because that's not very good. But as a player, for instance, Cooper Kupp has one of the highest separation yardages between all receivers. So it's telling you, he's not the fastest guy, but he runs crisp routes. He gets open, and there's all kinds of things that now the NFL is looking at. Okay, there are a lot of data stats that I can use to go beyond the 40-yard dash because it's not everything. It's really not, and for certain players it's more important than others. But there's a lot of data points there that are giving the chance to guys who maybe, like a Cooper Kupp, who maybe have not gotten that chance in the past.
So you brought up a key name before, a name that reigns very well in Eagles fans' hearts right now. The man with the elbow brace, bigger than Gronkowski. Devonta Smith.
That thing cannot be an elbow brace. You know how like Trent.
Was it Trent Williams or Moses?
No, not Trent Williams. Tyron Smith on the Cowboys. He wears like a knee brace on his arm because his arm's so big. That's what it looks like on Smith.
It's freaking huge. I don't know how he carries that thing around, but kind of take us through next gen stats. Let's talk about Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts, who you previously played with in Alabama. I guess take us down that road of things that we did not notice this season from the two.
Yeah, and like you said, I think there's a lot here that accentuates maybe what you're seeing as a player. Obviously, it's very obvious that Devonta Smith had a great year. You can see that from the base value stats, right? Receptions, touchdowns, yards, all that stuff that we all know and love. But there's more here that really unlocks how much of an impact is he having on the game and the team. So, a couple things that I would like to note here. He's got the 5th highest average targeted air yards at 14.8 air yards. But what does that mean? It means he's running deeper routes, maybe as some receivers who are, running shorter routes, screens, slants, things like that. He's
Jalen Reagor.
Exactly. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense, right? When you look at that, okay, well, Jalen's that guy for them. And Devontae's more of a deep threat, a great out route runner, a great in route runner, someone who can push the ball down vertically. So there's that. Couple other ones. He's got the 4th highest share of team air yards at 38.5%. Again, just kind of tells you he's running deep routes and he's getting open, finding ways to get him the ball. Some of the other things here, recorded plus 23 yards after catch over expectation on a 31-yard catch in the Super Wildcard weekend. So that's a really stat that I really, really like, the yards after catch over expectation, because it tells you like, we all had this assumption that you're going to catch a 5-yard route and you're going to be tackled by 2 guys. That stat really tells you that, he's taking these slant routes or, these routes and he's turning them into big plays. And that's one that I would look at as a scout, as a GM, being like, okay, if I could see this on this level, here's a guy who maybe not be the fastest, but when he gets the ball in his hands, he's dynamic. And that's Devonta Smith for sure.
Mm-hmm. You said an interesting there. I think that this is something that's become more and more common as well, is over expected or over replacement. And so that's been kind of the measure of, how good they are. They're not just blanket statements. They're okay. Well, if this person was in, what are they creating for their team? And so, what do you think that, what do you think has been the big push for, okay, we're not just doing blanket stats here. We're trying to find value in these statistics. And what do you think that brings to an organization?
Yeah, so what I really think it does is it helps the players, the GMs, the scouts to really understand their most valuable asset, which is the players. At the end of the day, I don't care what anyone says, it is the players, 100%. And I really think that it helps them understand not only their physical load, how hard are we working them. It's a huge benefit to the strength staff and understanding, maybe here's a player who's not as explosive in his first yards as we would like him to be. Here's what I can do to figure that out. Or and important too, as my stars, my people that I need to make sure are going to be rested, and I can't have them, just going super hard the whole week. So people like Jalen Hurts, obviously he's scrambling around in practice and doing things like that. Like, Jalen, you ran 8,000 yards today. We need to pull it back. Okay. And you can use that information to make sure that the players are at their best on Sunday. So what I really think it does is you take all the data and it helps you look at it from a 10,000-foot view and understand, it's not about grinding and pushing through in 3 days. Like we don't do that anymore. That's not the mantra, I guess. And it always will be about toughness in the NFL. But at the end of the day, it's about toughness with, players' health and safety in mind. And that's really the value.
Cool. Chris, you look like you got something.
Yeah, I'm waiting for him to blur something wild out because he looks like he has so much to say right now.
We're used to that face by now. We're used to that.
No, I'm just listening. Man. Jesus Christ. I was expecting to say
another Devonta Smith stat that I'll throw out just because it's, again, one I really like is he's tied for 15th highest average cushion. So the corners are respecting him, even as a rookie, right? I mean, they're respecting that yard is 6.1 yards. So corners are often playing around six yards off the ball on him because they know, again, that he's got the highest targeted air yards. And they know that's probably not throwing a screen to him, a slant. They might. But, again, it's probably more towards Rager. If we look at his side, it'd probably be totally different.
I mean, if you look at it, like I'm on the, and if you see my eyes wandering, I'm on the Next Gen Stats site right now. You see, like, we'll go to Rager and the immense bust that he is. You look at the guy that he gets 6.7 yards of cushion.
Yep.
And yard separation is only at 2.9. And you look at his expected yards after catch are 4.8, and he's only getting 4.4. So what do you like? You take those numbers, and what do you think like his issue? I mean, the issue for us, we see as soon as he gets the ball is he goes backwards. Sure. It's like what the hell are you doing? Sure. And then like on one hand, it's like is he being used correctly? Like there's the argument of is Rager more of a not this good, but is Rager more of a Deebo Samuel, Cordero Patterson type of player where they can rush? He should be rushing. He should be end around all of this, or should he be used more where he was at TCU and just trying to just outrun people and get the ball? I mean, we saw him outrun people the first game of his rookie year, and he had a 55-yard catch.
And that was the last of it.
And that was it.
I had that. He had that kick return. He had that kick return too.
Yeah. But Chris, I mean, you bring up a great point here. And if I'm a coach, I'm taking a look at why have I not gotten this production that we valued and we're thinking we're going to get, and definitely seeing the stats that are out there and figuring out, okay, maybe he's not stacking up to the expected. Why is the separation not there? He's super fast. Are we not using him the right way? And it's funny because the Sirianni, was my offensive coordinator at the Colts.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
I love that guy, by the way. I don't know how you guys think about him, but I absolutely
love him.
We love him.
Absolutely.
He's great. And I think one thing he's done a really good job is turning the running game into something that's a huge highlight for the Eagles. And I think you guys maybe led the league in yards, I'm pretty sure, this year in rushing yards, which was just an incredible stat. And he's done a good job setting the tone. But if I'm Sirianni, I'm looking at that and figuring out, okay, here's what my scheme is. Here's where I think he fits in, but does he need to be used more like someone like Tyreek Hill, or like you said, maybe Cordell Patterson, or even someone like Darren Sproles or like Deebo Samuel? Like is there more there that I can use? So as a coach, like, you can get as deep into it or shallow into it as you want. It's there for you to look at and figure out, and we have people who are really getting into that, like the Rams, and Sean McVay does a really good job, that whole organization, of looking at the data, and it's kind of there for you to use it how you want.
So if you don't mind, we definitely probably have a lot of questions on this next topic. Jalen Hurts. I mean, how can this data really affect a player like Jalen Hurts, who had a season where it was up and down? He was great. He was great with his legs. He was
like, depending on who you talk to, he was either the best quarterback in Eagles history or the worst quarterback in Eagles history.
It's the unfortunate truth. But my thing is, like, we whether you see it as his rookie year or not, but the lack of vision, or the lack of per se arm strength. Like, how do these stats correlate to where you can actually bring it to him and actually have him improve his game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, one thing about Jalen that's been apparently evident ever since I remember him, when he's a year younger than me, whenever he first came to Alabama, right, is this guy's got uncanny ability to scramble and to make plays, and has a really good natural leadership ability. But, there are certain areas where he could improve. And, I think obviously that's the passing area, and he's done a really good job of continuing to improve his game. But I would look at some of those passing stats, because we know he's going to make plays in the run game, and that's really what he does exceptionally well. But some of the things that are kind of sticking out to me, maybe tied for 13th highest tight window throw percentage at 16.2%. So he's throwing the ball into a tight window a lot, maybe more than most quarterbacks. And part of that's, again, the separation that we talked about with Devonta Smith and Jalen Reagor. So they had to get open, right? But at the same time, it's, you're fitting the ball into that tight window.
Why are you throwing that ball?
Reading the field. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, there's data there that I can look at and be retrospective as a quarterback and think, man, maybe I need to, like, take my check down every now and then. Maybe I need to work through my progression and get to my fourth option, and not maybe throw it to Devonta Smith and Reagor and all my other playmakers as much, and figure out maybe where can I be a little more conservative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that us watching all the time, right, and seeing this, and then the stats kind of back it up. With both of these guys, I think we've been really impressed by the intangibles, right? By who they are. Just, I think, Devontae does a great job of just kind of being that quiet motivator, not necessarily, the loudest guy in the locker room, but his actions, I think, speak pretty loud. And again, with Jalen, just a solid leader. And have they always been that way? And what's really stood out to you about those guys, like personalities and who they are as people?
Yeah, I would say their own connection that they have as a quarterback and receiver is really strong. Obviously, goes back to the Alabama days. One thing that was apparent with Jalen right when he first got there, because I was a true sophomore, and we were going to play LSU. USC in the opener in 2016, and there was some back and forth with who's going to start at quarterback. We had some other options, and ultimately they had a couple chances, and then they gave Jalen the chance on like the second or third series, and then it was just never looked back from there, because he did such a good job of commanding the huddle, even as a true freshman. I mean, I remember him stepping into the huddle and being like, wow, like, this guy's got some kind of presence that most people shouldn't have at 18, and some maturity, right? That, like, I mean, even me, like, as a 19-year-old and kind of starting to understand, I'm like, God, this guy's got it. I don't. Like, I understand that, this guy is a leader. Just like I said, the ability to make plays. And that was certainly one thing. The play was never over when Jalen was a quarterback, and there were a lot of opportunities where, it was always like a do I turn And when he's scrambling, do I turn and try to get open, or do I just block? Like what should I do? I'm not sure what to do. And he kind of got in those situations a lot of times. But he was ultimately going to make the right decision 99% of the time when it came to that. And luckily it didn't get hit in the back of the head with a pass at all. So it was all good. And Devonta, I'll touch on that as well. Like you said, hardest worker in the room, that quiet motivator, leader. And he's one of those guys, right? Like that probably wouldn't ever be the first to, give a giant rah-rah speech and
right.
ever look to him for a verbal example, but this is how it's done. Day in, day out work, quiet motivator. Like you said, there's none better than him. And again, two of the hardest workers in the room and deserve all the success that they've had. And I think they're going to be great staples for the Eagles for a long time.
Now, your last year in Alabama,
mm-hmm.
you had Tua.
Yep.
You had Judy. You had Smith. Then Waddle was there. Yeah. And, how crazy is it to be part of a team that just has that much talent? And did Devontae ever just show signs of just being overwhelmed of because is in that national championship that you guys lost to Clemson?
Yep.
I'm sorry to bring that up, but you had Judy go for over 100, and Smith was around 50 to 60, so was he ever did he ever show signs of wow, these guys are a lot better than me, or was he always it's kind of like I go to LSU, where
mm-hmm.
LSU had Chase, they had Jefferson, they had Higgins, so they had all these guys. Did he ever show signs of oh, it's not my turn yet, or is it always that guy I'm gonna get mine whenever I can?
Yeah, and I really think he's always. And they did a really maybe in a way that I've never seen before. And obviously, receiver core there can be multiple, but even people like Jalen Waddle who had to wait their turn a little bit, but still got the opportunity, or John Mechie this year. They did such a good job of sharing the spotlight that I don't think is talked about enough. Just their ability to be okay, you can go for 200 this game, I'll get 100 the next. I'll get 3 touchdowns this game. Next time you can get 100. It's they didn't plan that out by any means, but it was just they were so supportive of one another. That was one thing I saw with Devontae, just unselfish. All those guys were totally unselfish, and you could see, they never got discouraged that, I'm not playing enough, or I'm not getting the ball enough, because it was just they knew that their turn was coming, and then all those guys end up being first-round draft picks. It's just I understand. And to touch on that, I had a decent high school career where I was a little bit more involved in the passing game because my dad was offensive coordinator, so that was a plus. But everyone back home was Hale, why aren't you getting the touches that you got in high school? I'm have you seen the weapons that are on our team? Would you want to throw it to me for a 5-yard gain? Would you rather throw an RPO to Judy or Devonta Smith and take it 80 yards to the house? You've watched the games, right? So that was one thing that so many weapons, so many playmakers, they shared really well. And I feel bad for Tua and Jalen picking who to throw it to, because I couldn't do that. And I know I was probably covered, but they weren't looking my way. So that's all part of it.
So
hold on, listen. Give yourself some credit, because the last your last 2 games of your college career, 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. So I mean, you don't get much more efficient than that.
Yeah, that's pretty damn efficient.
That is true. I appreciate that. I always tried to really hone in on my my shooting average. I wanted to be 100% from the line. And lucky I was kind of like that red zone, threat.
Makes sense when it's analytics like that.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of it was, they commanded such attention that, a lot of times it was when we got in the red zone, it wasn't the deep ball threat as much. And so we needed to play in the 10-yard, 20-yard space, and called my number a lot. So it was fun.
Who'd you like to pass from, Tua or Hurts?
Oh, gosh, that is an age-old question.
It's okay to be honest. It's okay.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Honestly, they're a right-hander and a left-hander too. So it was almost funny. It's kind of like in baseball. it's a different way of like looking at it when you're catching to, it's almost like, when you're looking at it, it comes out a little bit different. It spins a different way, obviously. Tua had a very catchable ball, meaning like he had very impressive arm talent. I think everyone knows that about Tua. But Jalen did a great job of getting you the ball whenever you were like expecting it, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't gonna be, hey, I'm at the top of my route, I'm breaking, boom, and then the ball like hits you in the side of the face. Like he did a really good job of working to when you were going to get open. They both had their own strengths and weaknesses. I think very few weaknesses. I think that me personally, I really liked just Jalen's demeanor, and with that came his ability to put the ball into, like I said, tight windows and things like that. I would have to give it to Jalen. It's like picking between your kids, though. It's a tough conversation.
Oh, I can pick between my kids right now. Just saying,
yeah.
I have a 1-year-old and I have a 4-month-old. I can choose one of them. But it's okay.
So, a bit of a tough question, and you could definitely deflect this question if you want.
Sure.
As Chris drinks the whiskey.
Yeah, that was a seamless transition, Chris. I don't even know when the beer left.
So,
I mean, I've been doing this for 103 episodes now. I think.
Yeah. Fair. That's fair.
Knowing what you know, knowing who you know in Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, and knowing what you know with the next gen stats. Obviously, the big debate is, can Jalen Hurts be a franchise quarterback for the Eagles going forward? We're in the offseason where it's prime Howie season, where Howie does things that nobody expects. And the big question right now is are they really backing Jalen Hurts? Now, knowing what you know, if you're Nick Sirianni, is Jalen Hurts your guy in 2022? And if he is, why?
I would say 100%. I think he has earned it this year. Obviously, they came up a little bit short in, wanting to make that deep playoff run. But also, take a look at what they had. They traded away, Zach Ertz and kind of rebuilt a lot of the different areas and phases. And, I really think it's as he gets more comfortable, and it's hard, like first season, new coordinator, new coach, whatever have you, new quarterback. It's tough to like make that seamless transition. I would 100% say he is the quarterback of the future because, again, of those intangibles, leadership, character, all those things that like often get overlooked, right? We look at, we can throw all the stats out there, right? And they're all great, and I love the stats. But there are certain intangibles that he has that most people don't have, and there are franchise-building intangibles. Like the leadership ability, like the ability to command a huddle and to be the hardest worker in the room and to make everyone better around him. So when you have quarterbacks like that you can look to, that are just going to be a pillar of here's how it's done, that's someone you build a franchise around. So me personally, I would think I would keep him for the long haul, but that's me.
No. I mean, go ahead, Bart. No,
I was just going to say, something that people often kind of forget about Jalen is, a completely different coaching staff for the last 4 years, right? He switched every single time. And I know that, you spent time with a couple different NFL franchises. Just how tough is it to switch? And I know that, everyone says, okay, it's the NFL, like everyone's running the same kind of stuff, but it is different, right? Different terminology. Different scheme in a lot of situations. So how difficult is that, and how much of a difference do you think it'll make that he's in the same system again for a second year?
Yeah, it is everything. I mean, you see that with a lot of quarterbacks who have had success as they continue to stack seasons together. Look at people like Josh Allen. Obviously has just gone like this with his ability to get comfortable in that offense and be under the same person. And it's really paramount that you can really get 2 to 3 seasons to really understand, this is how the offense runs. You need that continuity. And certainly I think you're going to see, just as they spend time together, and the way Sirianni is, he's such a personable guy. He loves you. He cares about you. He wants what's best for you. And he's going to put you in places where you can have success. And those two are going to be, like this offseason, they're really going to, spend a lot of time studying. Here's what we need to do better. Let's take a look at the stats, take a look at the data, figure out where we can improve. He's going to have a great year next year. And I certainly think if they give him the weapons, getting more production out of the players that they currently have, people like Goddard, continuing to see him go like this, it's it's a bright future. It certainly is, and I think there's a lot to be hopeful about.
Yeah, I love what Hurts has given to the team. Leadership,
Yes.
poise, not buckling really under pressure like the previous quarterback of the Eagles. But I go both sides. Like I try to play devil's advocate and try to. I've learned from my mistakes. With Wentz, I found every cherry picked stat out there he's the first player since freaking in Vietnam War to complete 5 passes before sneezing. It's like one of those things. But with Hurts, I'm trying to see both sides. I absolutely love it. I love the dual threat that he is. That that he can build on it, and I think the Eagles ultimately should build around him with those 3 first-round picks and the rest and use of free agent money around him. But at the same time, I look at the coaching staff. I look at your old coach Nick Sirianni, who did not have a dual threat quarterback while he was in Indy or in San Diego. He had Phillip Rivers, he had Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
So does his offense? And you kind of look at the first few weeks of the season when he was making Hurts throw 40 to 50 passes a game.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, that's his offense right there. And then sprinkling in a little rushing here and there. And then it's like, all right, let's turn into Baltimore light and run every game. So from your experience with Nick in Indianapolis, like, was his offenses really like rush? I mean, we saw last year with Jonathan Taylor. Like, of course, like last year, Jonathan Taylor, he was rookie of the year. He took the league by storm. But like a couple of years ago, when you were with them, was it really like, we're gonna run, or was it trying to get Jacoby Brissett in the pocket and go through his reads and find? Because I look at the next check stats.
Yep.
Hurts was last in the league in time to throw.
Yep.
So that's a combination of him leaving the pocket too long, too fast, and just running around, or was it just him just not seeing the field and he's just staring someone down? Like what do you see from Nick, and why would Hurts be like the difference in Sirianni's just past quarterbacks?
Yeah, and I think Sirianni has that. And it's been the same. It's an unchanged offense for sure, and you can look at the game and know that they're running that play, right? Insert name. And it's really a West Coast offense with a lot of ground and pound sprinkled in. That was really something that they tried to emphasize at the Colts, was just, we have great offensive linemen, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, and we're going to pound the ball with great running backs. But there needs to be a bit of a give and take between Jalen and Nick, and to put him in situations where he can do the Baltimore light type of situations, because he's a weapon. I mean, having a quarterback who could do that, I mean, you see that with Lamar Jackson. Having a quarterback that can do that means that I have another running back in the backfield, and we need to use it. I think you're going to see more of that as they get more comfortable with the base offense. Right? This is the base West Coast offense. It's maybe slightly different than what you've done in the past, but you're going to be able to add that to the game. You're going to master that, and then we can sprinkle in the stuff that you're really comfortable with. So I think that probably should have sprinkled in more of that stuff that he's really comfortable with, and let him do that as a supplement. But as he continues to master this West Coast offense and really gets comfortable with the passing aspect, they can open it up more and sprinkle in that Baltimore light that you said.
I'm a little curious about something.
Next, always curious about something.
I'm always very curious. Does that bother you? I feel like you should love that about me.
Like the fact that you texted me and said, "Hey, you got a minute?" And it's just a stupid question.
It was not a stupid question. It was.
You have a lot of questions.
You just question everything.
No, that was a very important question. A stupid question is like, when are you going to shave your head and get rid of your hairline? That's a stupid question.
I mean, that's a valid question. I told my students, if they raise more money, like we're doing a fundraiser this month for the American Heart Association, and the most money we raised was 2 years ago. We raised $17,000, and I told them, if we raise more money than we did that year, I'll shave my head bald. I'll go completely bald. After 1 week, we're at $13,500.
Can I do the honors of shaving your head?
Hell no! Don't touch me.
Why not?
Don't touch me.
What you mean?
Shit.
I'm more professional than your barber.
Like, look at
I'm
my
not gonna know
hairline.
which
Like, this is gonna
I'm
go.
gonna look at you both. I'm not gonna say two bald
Take a
men.
nice little razor and just.
No, my beard's staying though. Like, but
Yeah,
it's. I think I'll get divorced if like she'll divorce me if I just go hairless.
Like
Yeah,
naked
just
mole
curious, Brian.
Oh yeah, curious question. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So with next gen stats, damn, I forgot my question. You mentioned air yards before, and Devonta Smith was ranked 5th. Who's ranked first?
That is a great question. I don't have that in front of me right now, but you can easily go and look that up. I think Chris was on that site.
I'm on it right now.
I think he's doing it right now. I'm curious.
For us.
Air yards, targeted air yards.
Sure.
So, MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling.
Yep.
Really? Wow.
He's targeted 17.1 yards in the year.
Yeah, that's not really a surprise. I think when you take a look at the game and just the routes that they're putting him on, it tells you if I'm covering MVS, like he's going deep, and so probably his his cushion, the space that they're giving him is probably a little higher too.
So Devonta's 4th in the league in targeted air yards percentage.
Yep.
First is our should have been friend, Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Don't do that. Don't do that on this episode. Where's Quez at? I'm very curious to see where Watkins.
I don't think he met the threshold of receptions. Minimum 45 target. Minimum 45. I feel like he had 45 targets though. He had to have. Let's see. I'll tell you right now. Hold on.
While Chris,
I hate my stupid ass Dell. I had a Mac.
I'm curious. I mean, we've talked about like air yards over expected or over replacement, and that's been kind of the new stat is trying to find value in the stats and place value in them. What do you think is the next? Where do you think like the value is going to be created next? What's the next stat? The next big thing we're going to be looking for?
Yeah, that's really a great question, and a lot of that is kind of driven by the NFL and what they're looking at as far as player health and safety, as far as using that data to improve the efficiency. Like we saw the kickoffs go from that 5-yard run up to now everyone's stationary to now we don't have the wedge on kickoff return and things like that. So using that data, I think player health and safety is kind of first of mind, but also like what are these stats telling us, and where do we go in the next important stats? It's kind of all part of the journey, and certainly we're looking forward to providing that data and trying to figure out what's important to fans, what's important to coaches, and part of that is a learning curve of what do they want to see, what's important to them. It's definitely a learning experience, and so a great question, and I don't know if we necessarily have the perfect answer for that just yet.
Well, no, I think it's really cool that, I mean, for us, for fans, right? We're seeing the next gen stats and we're saying, oh, wow, this person ran that fast. This person did this and did that. And I think it's really cool to see the other side where this is, we're able to help with player safety. We're able to train in a different way. We've kind of see it in the game side, but in the practice side, right, you're seeing a development in that area as well. Coaches are using this all the time.
Yeah, no, and certainly, we have a certain number of practice clients that use this as well, and kind of understanding what are they doing in practice, right? Maybe we need to give our guys a break. They're going way too hard, especially our players who are running a lot on game day and things like that. Understanding, let's take the practice that we have, or let's take the data that we have in practice, compare it to what we have in the game, and see if there's any deviations, and trying to figure out, how do we maybe get practice more like a game, or how do we figure out, how do we make a recovery type of week for the player, things like that.
Right.
But certainly, it's all part of it.
It's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
So a couple things. Here's Quez. So Quez, cushion 6 yards, separation 3.4, targeted air yards 12.3. I would have thought it was more.
I thought, I would think it's a lot more. He's a deep threat.
Percentage of target percentage 18.86.
Deep threat, but also runs a bunch of screens. So
yeah, and then he just takes it.
Split the difference.
And then he just takes it because he has expected yards after catch 4.2, and he's at 6 at actual So he's at 1.8 plus minus. The leader is, of course, Debo.
Yep.
He's expected is 5.2 and his actual is 10.4. Like that's ridiculous.
Insane. Yep.
And then we got now that we're on the Jalen Hurts topic, Albert Breer has his Monday.
Saw that too. I was avoiding bring that up.
Of course, I'm going to bring it up. So he's asked, where do you see Russell Wilson playing in 2022? And I'm scrolling just so I can get the actual quotes. If I had to guess, I'd say he'll eventually get moved, and I'd say I'd have said the destination was going to be the Saints a month ago. Now that Sean Payton's gone, let's put him in the NFC East to the Eagles. In a way, it'd be sort of redemptive move for Howie Roseman, who was part of a front office that plans to take Wilson in the third round in 2012, only to have Seattle scoop him up earlier in the round. I mean, they did wind up with Nick Foles, and you know what happened there. So, the big thing, Hale, with Jalen Hurts aside. So let's say the Eagles do trade for Russell Wilson. Obviously there's plenty of names out there. There's been the Derek Carr argument. There's been the even some Billy Barnwell, that bald-headed asshole. He said trade for Kirk Cousins and extend them $100 million. I mean, your old friend Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
And there's Marcus Mariota's being brought up again. There's the Aaron Rodgers. Will he accept the trade? There's Deshaun Watson, which I want absolutely no part of. Let's say they go to Russell Wilson. There's a lot of people that are pretty down on him.
Sure. Even
though he's been a top quarterback his whole career up until this year where he was hurt. When he came back from injury, he was still pretty damn good. He wasn't that great prior, before he went away because of his finger. He comes back healthy. He shows that he's Russell Wilson again. And you have Ryan Clark coming out saying that Russell Wilson, you can't win a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson. What do the next gen stats say? I mean, you may not have it in front of you, but where have you seen like previously, like who is Russell Wilson, and can he keep that up? At age 33 and beyond.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I certainly want to take a look at some of those real quick. So let me pull something up real quick because you bring up a great point here. But let's take a look. So Russell Wilson. Pulling some stuff up here. So let me okay, so some of the things that I think are apparently, are very evident with him and some of the things that we've talked about. Let's take a look at, let's do time to throw. So Russell Wilson is at, let's see here, let me find it, 2.8 seconds time to throw, which is not a whole lot of time, right? Average completed air yards is, let's see here, 6.5. So that's kind of more higher. That's on the higher end of the spectrum as I'm just looking at all the quarterbacks here. So I mean, he's that's kind of that offense again that that they're running over there. Average intended air yard, so 6.5 for the completion, and then the intended was at 9.9. So fairly efficient overall. I think what you see with Russell Wilson is, and here's one, aggressiveness. This is a percentage that is measured. Right. One here is 15.5, where that kind of looks, that's kind of smack dab in the middle as far as some of the other quarterbacks. So longest completed air distance, let's see here. Let's take a look. 62. So again, just kind of gives an understanding of how far he's throwing and things like that. So, kind of all those things. To me, when I look at all the data and you aggregate it all together, Russell Wilson is kind of a quarterback who's done, a very good job for his entire career and has been a very efficient passer. He's always done that. It would certainly be a candidate for any team to take a good look at. And the stats are going to tell you that he's a quarterback who performs very well when he's got the time to throw, and that he's going to move the ball downfield efficiently and is going to make, a decent attempt at being aggressive and trying to fit the ball into tight windows and things like that. So, all those stats. I mean, you kind of tell me what's when I tell you just kind of some of those things. What are important? Like when you hear those stats, is that a quarterback that you would want? You know.
I think like the time, like the big thing is with Seattle. It's the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Not great. Never been good. That's something the Eagles could offer him.
Yeah.
But I think as well, like, you know, something that we've been considering with Jalen Hurts even is, you know, the fit for Nick Sirianni's offense. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been kind of a question that I've had as well is, you know, with Russell Wilson, he does a lot of the things better just because he's a veteran. But, you know, typically he's slowing down. He's going to be in the pocket more, but also a dual threat. Loves to throw the ball downfield.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that, like, I think the argument is just like whether or not this guy's a guy you can pick up and go straight to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he's what Jalen Hurts could possibly be in, 5-6 years. Right?
Especially going into that draft capital. You know, you look at Russell Wilson and what he's had in Seattle. He won a Super Bowl with an incredible defense. And arguably one of the best defenses in NFL history. Yeah. Especially best secondaries. I mean, you had at linebacker, you had a prime Bobby Wagner, who probably still is in his prime, 8 years later. You know, he's incredible. And you had Richard Sherman, you had Cam Chancellor, you had the
Earl Thomas.
You had Earl Thomas. You had
they were so loaded back then.
You had Mr.
Sheldon Richardson.
You're forgetting the most important one.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Byron Maxwell.
Byron Maxwell.
Eagles great Byron Maxwell.
So I guess that's an argument against like ever since that core of defensive players left, what has he done? I mean, he went back to the Super Bowl, and then he threw that interception to Malcolm Butler. But what has he done since then? So I mean, there's obviously strong arguments for and against. Like, does Russell Wilson make that pass to Devonta Smith that Hurts had intercepted, like that when the Smith was completely wide open for that second, and then all of a sudden, I forget who it was, came across and just intercepted it because Hurts was so late on it. Does Wilson make that pass? Probably.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But how many first-round picks are you trading? And then you're still with a defense that's going to be lacking at linebackers again, who has severe questions at cornerback 2 outside of Slay, and Slay's not getting any younger. Severe safety concerns. So, yeah, he's going to have a great offensive line, but what's going to happen on the other side? So it's like, I mean, for me, if I'm going for Russell Wilson, you're going to have to trade Hurts. So you're probably trading Hurts to Seattle. 15, maybe a third. So Hurts 15, third, and maybe a second next year. For me, I think that's enough for a 33-year-old quarterback. They'll probably end up being a first next year because the argument is also, you look at Matt Stafford, 2 years left on his deal. He got traded for a first this year, first next year, and Jared Goff. Yep. So are you looking at Hurts first year this year, first next year, maybe maybe another pick this year because Hurts is obviously not as good. I don't want to say it's not as good as Goff because Goff sucks. So it's such a weird scenario because where does Hurts go if he doesn't get traded to Seattle? Does Seattle just want picks? So I hate this offseason.
Yeah, but like you said, it's the story of this Super Bowl too, right? I mean, are you built to win now, like with the Rams going out to get, obviously the star-studded cast that they have, or are you more of a homegrown? Let's build this with our draft picks, like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And
I just wrote an article on that.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's an interesting story. It's one of those. You want to win now, or do you want to win down the road? And the best.
Do you have a dog in that race? Do you have a dog in that race? Or are you allowed to say?
Me?
Yeah. You care for anyone for the Super Bowl?
Oh, I got you. No, so I mean, I think I have some buddies on each team that I would like to see do well. Number one being Jonah Williams, who's the left tackle for the Bengals. he's going to have his hands full 100%. And I think he knows that, and he's done a great job this year. He's given up only like 2 sacks and probably like 200 or so passing attempts. He's done a really good job. He's been a bright spot for that Bengals line. I would love to just see a good game. It's going to be interesting, right, with the home field advantage. With the home field, like the Buccaneers won it last year. Obviously SoFi is its own place, and it's going to be really interesting. And I think one thing that's apparently evident is how much the Bengals offensive line has struggled. Joe Burrow has been sacked the most out of any quarterback, and who's on the other side of that ball. And it's really going to be interesting to see if they hold up. And the Rams are going to dial up some pressure, that's for sure. So I would probably say the Rams are going to win, is my guess, but would like to see the Bengals pull it out too. And it's going to be a good game. I think it could go either way.
That's quite a feat, making the Super Bowl and being the most sacked quarterback. Like that can't happen.
Yeah. And you want to talk about a feat? You go from 2-14 in 2019, tearing your ACL in 2020 in the Super Bowl, and like that has not gotten talked about enough. Just that 3-year progression. I mean, there are teams that 3 years ago are doing worse than what they did. It's just it's quite a story. It's cool.
And you have teams like the Cowboys who just do it for 26 years.
I know you have strong feelings about the Cowboys.
We had to get Sean in there somewhere.
We had to do it. We had to. So what I found was, so there are 16 players on the 53-man roster of the Rams that were drafted within the last 3 years. Of those 16, 8 were drafted in rounds 1 through 3. 0 were round 1 because Rams don't have a first-round pick for the next 50 years. Bengals, 19 players from the last 3 years. 8 were drafted in the first 3 rounds. Burrow and Chase are the only first rounders. You have 24 players originally drafted by the Bengals on the roster, 25 original for the Rams. Bengals have 14 stars from those picks, and Rams have 10. But it seems pretty close. But you look at the main reasons why each are there. Matt Stafford, OBJ, trade and free agent. Joe Burrow and Chase drafted. So, Chase had to have one of the best offensive rookie years ever, and Burrow's amazing. So it's like the main reasons these teams are there are homegrown versus go out and get that talent. So you look at the Eagles and you're like, what should they? This is kind of that year. Where they need to decide which way they're going because they can just take those picks and just trade them and just build for right now. Or they can use those picks and say, you know what? We can have Hurts under a rookie contract. We can have Smith under a rookie contract. We can have 3 first-round picks under a rookie contract and just use all that cap space to build around like a Mike Williams,
trade for Calvin Ridley.
The trade for Calvin. No, well, that's picks.
Yeah, but
I'm talking about free agents. Sign a Michael Gallup to approve a deal. Maybe Chris Godwin to approve a deal. Marcus Williams as a safety come in. Can they get Tyrann Mathieu come in? They have all this money. Jesse Bates. They have all this money.
He seems like the one likely to it.
He has a Slate connection there. So if there's any season for them to do it, it's here, especially for a playoff team.
Yeah, they're at a crossroads. It'll be interesting to watch what they do, and obviously, like you said, they got some draft picks to work with, so that'll be fun to see.
All right.
Before we go,
Hale,
okay. No, you go, Morgan.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, as someone who's won two championships at the biggest level, and for a lot of people college sports is even bigger than that. NFL is different, right? But still, who's won, and obviously part of a very talented Alabama team, but there's a lot of talented teams, right? So there's that added extra championship pedigree almost. So when you talk about a team like the Rams, who have brought in all these players who most of them haven't made the Super Bowl, right? Or maybe they have, but for whatever reason, do you think that is a sustainable way to success, or do you think that just having good players makes you a championship team, or do you think that there's something more?
Right. It's really the culture. It's got to start from the top. And I think Sean McVay's done a really good job of that. So they have the culture piece in place, right? But then they got the stars. And part of that is the chemistry that you develop off these. And I think the Bengals really have a good culture too. And you've seen that as, just with what they've built and everything like that. But I think the most important thing, culture, the chemistry between the players. And then on the NFL level, it's like we got guys coming in and out all season, right? Like you need someone to get cut the next day, bring in practice squad players. They're up and down. It's really hard to build that continuity. And it feels like the Rams and Bengals have done a really good job of that, especially the Rams, who have brought in Von Miller late in the season and just has plugged right into that scheme really well. So that's really the most important thing, is building an environment of success and helping the players, be their best that they can be, despite all of the noise that they have to deal with.
Right. So just bringing in Russell Wilson won't bring you.
It would be tough, because then you're the same exact story. Okay, Russell Wilson's in a new offense with a new system, and even Russell Wilson. I mean, obviously Tom Brady is the outlier there, right?
Yeah.
I think he's the outlier in pretty much every category. But the same exact story though. It's like you bring him in, and it's like, okay, well, 1 year's down, maybe we don't get to the Super Bowl. Obviously, Matthew Stafford, they had success doing that this year. But, a lot of it is, are you going to sell out completely? Like, let's win right now. Let's get all the pieces we need. Let's do it. Let's assemble the Infinity Gauntlet. We got to do it right now. Or, right, let's bring in one piece at a time and let's build it slow. And I think that's maybe what the Eagles should do, is let's bring in one at a time and build it.
I agree.
I mean, we should all, maybe 4 years is enough for all of us to grow souls again, so we can just sell it and just win the Super Bowl again, because that's what we did. A few years
Definitely.
It's enough time for a garden to grow. I can tell you that much. Right?
That's right. So where flowers are blooming. So before we go, Hale, we talked about Zebra and Devonta and Jalen and all this stuff, but we haven't really talked about you. So, like, how did you get to football? You said your dad was the offensive coordinator at your high school and all that. So, and you had to choose between Mizzou, Alabama, or any other colleges. How'd you get to where you are, like, right now?
Yeah, no, great question. I would say growing up, my grandpa and my dad have been the head coaches. Obviously grandpa first, and then my dad for probably 50 or 60 years combined. And I was always around football. I was the ball boy. I was, kind of always just involved in that. I just grew to love the game. It really helped me know from a young age I wanted to do this in any capacity for as long as possible. And, really had a great high school career. And like you said, my dad was the offensive coordinator or the head coach, for me. And, really did a great job of putting me in situations to be successful, especially as a tight end, getting me the ball. And I was always very adamant about, Dad, let's get some bubble screens, let's get some tunnel screens. And I'm like, that's not what tight ends do, but I want to do it. And that was always fun, getting to do that. And then from there, got recruited by probably 30 or so colleges, Ohio State, Auburn, Florida State, kind of Oklahoma were some of my ones I was really interested in. And, obviously Alabama was first and foremost for me. That was one of those like dream schools that I knew if they came knocking, right, I would definitely entertain that for sure. I went down there, and it was it's instant. I stepped on campus. I was like, okay, I know I want to be here. This is where I want to be. Just like that gut feeling of home. And, Coach Saban had a very open and transparent recruiting pitch that no one else had. That was one of the things for me as a competitor I really appreciated, because he said, I can't promise you that you're going to start right away. I can promise you that you're going to, if you go to school and you do the right things, you're going to get a great degree from a great university. You're going to get a chance to compete for national championships, which we did every year, and then get a chance to play in the NFL, which I got my chance. And so all those things came true. It was a very open and transparent recruiting pitch. It was refreshing. Like when everyone says, hey man, you're going to come in and start right away. And like, that's what they're telling everybody. So, it's really one thing that he just laid it all out there. And I appreciated the honesty. And I knew that was someone that is just going to tell you how it is. And really sold me. And I was 100% on board and went down there. Was lucky enough to play my freshman year, even though he promised I wasn't going to. I was lucky enough to and just be more of that blocking tight end piece and do that for about my 4 years and got a little bit more involved in the passing game as I grew and matured. Played with great players like O.J. Howard opposite me at tight end and then Irv Smith Jr. Again, opposite me at more of the H-back, F kind of movable tight end. And I was always the Y. So really just did that and, enjoyed it, got my opportunity to do pro day and things like that at Alabama. Got a chance with the Colts. They signed me as an undrafted free agent and spent, first I made the 53-man roster coming out my rookie year and was the fourth tight end behind Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox, and who's the other guy? And
was it Clay? No, Clay was with us at that point.
Right. It would have been Mo, Jack, and Eric Ebron. That was it.
Pretty stacked.
It was a stacked room. There's no doubt about that. And I was kind of in that like bubble, and they ended up letting me go because we were in a roster pinch and we needed corners, so they had to let me go. And they were going to bring me back to the practice squad, but then Washington signed me off of waivers, and I spent I spent the rest of the season with them. And
were they the Redskins then?
They were. Yep.
Okay.
They were, and I got to play a lot. That was it feels like ages ago. Got to play a lot with them and stayed there throughout the off season. And they brought in Ron Rivera, and they let me go after training camp, and then went back to the Colts. They brought me back to the practice squad, and then stayed there the entire season and finished with the Vikings. They picked me up on waivers after Kyle Rudolph got hurt. Didn't really play a whole lot. It was just like the last 3 or 4 weeks, and my wife and I, totally transparent, we're pregnant, and now we have a 6-month-old son. And I knew that. Thank you. I knew that.
It sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, I knew that I didn't want like that journeyman kind of. We can't even, we can't even get a 1-month lease on an apartment because I could be gone in a week. Type of lifestyle. It was not fun, and you have the pressures and the anxieties of, okay, I'm going into work. I've done nothing wrong. I work as hard as I possibly can, but I can be cut for things that are beyond my control. Right. And that's part of it. That's why it's the NFL. It's the highest level, and it's a valuable life lesson. I certainly learned that, and I knew that I love the game, and I felt like my time was done. So I left with I give everything to my career and everything, and knowing that I was excited to do something else. So nothing but gratitude and respect for the game.
That's awesome. Being a parent.
I'm very curious about what that Nick Saban pitch was like.
Yeah, no, it's a good pitch. A lot of it is sitting you down on the couch, and in front of you there's more championship rings than you can count. So I mean, that's what I wanted to
know. I always wondered if Nick Saban just opened a briefcase and was
this is kind of heavy over here.
Honestly, it's like it's like a subtle hey, look what's over here. I'm not gonna draw attention to it, but you see it, and he
knows what he's doing.
So, he knows what he's doing. He's been around the block a long time.
Thoughts on the Commander's name?
Yeah, I think I think it's maybe
you can say it sucks. It's okay.
That was one thing, being in there with the transition from the old name to football team, and then obviously they've went to the Commanders now. It was certainly something that it's an interesting time, right? Like finding a new identity. Such a storied program. And you guys don't want to hear this, but a program that has done really good in the 80s, and has had its legacy and things like that, and you just kind of get away with the brand and everything, obviously, but it was an interesting time to go through that change, and hopefully this name can stick around for a while. And obviously, I may not have been a huge fan of the football team name, but
that's fair.
I don't know if
better than Commanders.
Sure, I don't know if anyone was a fan of that. And we play football. We're a team. We're in Washington. It makes sense.
Yeah,
we're the football team.
Yeah, Commanders. They could have got Red Wolves would have been awesome.
I like Red Wolves. Admirals sounds nice too.
Yeah.
Admirals rolls off the tongue.
The players didn't get any say in the name. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's wild. But yeah, I mean we reached the hour mark. Hale, for those that are tuning in now, if you don't mind, kind of just giving them a brief.
Wait, hold on, hold on. Were you guys? I know. I saw Zebra was at Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Were you there also with them?
I was not personally there with them, but some of my colleagues were helping, ensure that the data and the tracking and all that stuff went over smoothly.
Was there one or two guys that you heard of that were like? I know I saw Tariq Woolen, the cornerback. He's 22 miles per hour. Like that's freaking fast. Were there any guys that you've heard of that were just absolute standouts because of your technology?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I would have to kind of review the data. We went from the Senior Bowl right into this, the Super Bowl. I haven't really got a chance to take a deep dive into it because we literally went from Mobile right into LA to do that. So we've been doing all this stuff with this, now. So haven't got a chance to dissect it too much. However, I do think that data is going to be, hopefully scouts are looking at that and saying, man, average yards per separation, yards after catch over expected. Like, man, this guy can play. Even if he's not running a 4.3, this guy can play. And, I think the data and the stats are going to be there to help some kids make a name for themselves.
Now, will there ever be a stat? Now, Morgan asked about it before, like with the expected yards after catch, will there ever be a stat? It's next gen seems pretty much offensive driven.
Yep.
Are you guys going to gear towards more of like a defensive? Because we've seen corners can run 22 miles per hour, 21 miles per hour. What about, is there one where you guys maybe toyed with where corner driving to the ball like kind of one of those I guess corners kind of run a 3-cone drill essentially all game. They stop and dime and they have to go. And I've read reports. I've read articles, one by Ben Solak, that the 3-cone is irrelevant for wide receivers.
Sure. That's something that, and I'll add, that's something that the NFL is always looking at, how does the data that we're getting, how does it transfer over to maybe what are some of the most important movements in the combine and the draft, and things like that. It's like, how do we make this more relevant, right? Like, let's look beyond the 40-yard dash into what's important for a player. So 100%, I would agree there. And, as far as defense goes, we measure a lot of individual stats, whether it's pressures, blitz percentage, things like that. From my knowledge, there's stuff out there with defense as well. And it's certainly something that we're looking at trying to, figure out how we can capture every angle of the defense. And like you said, the separation and things like that are all really important. And those can all be measured for sure.
Cool. Sorry, Brian, go ahead.
So, for those who are joining us right now, if you don't mind kind of just giving them a brief description of what Zebra Sports is and how it's affected the NFL.
Yeah, so our Zebra Technologies, really we provide player tracking data through RFID for the NFL, the official game day provider of player tracking technology. We provide stats and things like that to help enhance the game and help enhance how people watch, view, play, coach, and really try and create a seamless, a transparent environment where people can appreciate the game in a new way and can modernize how the game is studied and watched and played and coached. And certainly something we're on the edge of technology, and we're looking forward to helping modernize this game that we know and love.
Is there anywhere where fans can actually follow your work per se, or your thoughts on everything that you do?
Yeah, so I think some of the biggest maybe areas where they can see a little bit about this is Next Gen Stats. Definitely a good website to go and look. Zebratechnologies.com as a whole, or zebra.com is really the website URL there. Getting an idea of what we do, who we are, maybe in the NFL, but also beyond the NFL and the enterprise business. And really, I think that's really the main area where people can take a look. Christian would also have some information as maybe where we can find more relevant information to the fans. So I will defer to Christian on what he wants to put out there, maybe figure out how the fans can get more involved in that.
Cool. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds
That's
good.
good. No, well, we really appreciate it. Really appreciate Christian reaching out to me. When I will transparent when Christian emailed me saying, "Hey Chris," I'm like, I thought these were automated messages because I signed up for it because I was interested in reading about all these different stats. Not that the Eagles were so frequent in these newsletters because the Eagles weren't really doing much to be in those newsletters. But I read them and it's cool, especially like I said, I'm a phys ed teacher, so reading about these different things, and in a few weeks I start my second season as a track head coach. So like reading these things about speed and change direction and all that stuff, it's stuff that I like to read because I kind of want to put that into my track athletes. Like how much time does it take you to go from point A to point B? Your 10 when I look at my 200 meter runner, I'm like, how long did it take you to go from 0 to 30 meters, 30 to 60, 60 to 90? Let's talk about it. Let's maybe go from 0 to 30 a little slower and then just keep building so you can finish stronger instead of just running as fast as you can and then you're gonna just die out, from this. So this stuff is interesting to me. And then when Christian emailed, like, "Hey Chris," I'm like, "Oh, it's not automated."
Yeah.
He wants to talk to me.
It's like one of those. It's like one of those DoorDash checks. Like, "Hey, your food's here, come pick it up." Like, it's but really appreciate Christian reaching out to me. I really appreciate you coming on, Hale. We hope you had a good time. Also, we know we're very unorthodox.
Very unorthodox.
No, this has been fun, guys. Yeah, I will say this has been one of the more fun podcasts I've ever been a part of, and you guys got a fun, unique show here that I'm sure Eagles Nation loves and cherishes. So it's really fun to be a part of, and I appreciate you all giving me the opportunity to talk a little bit about what we do, and then also just my past in football and Alabama, all kinds of great topics. So I appreciate it.
Of course.
And your two national championships. Don't forget that part.
And you 2 rings.
Awesome. You'll put your rings on the table next time for us. Next table thing.
Exactly.
Bye, guys. All right.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Anytime. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and enjoy the game on Sunday.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
Go Bengals.
See you guys.
Yeah.
Take it easy. All
I
right,
have to
guys.
root for the Bengals.
I think we all do.
Yeah,
That's a natural thing, right?
Personal connection. The quarterbacks coach for the Bengals, Dan Pitcher, he and I graduated college together.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean,
I just feel like cheering for the Rams is kind of like cheering for like the Lakers super team. It's like they bought that team.
I'm not a fan of it. Yeah.
I mean, if you read my article, you'd see.
Yeah, I try and avoid anything with your name.
Motherfucker.
Was it on Metro? If it wasn't on Metro, I'm not reading it.
No, it was before Metro. Fuck.
Tough luck.
I should tell Liam to delete it and repost it.
Just redo it. But yeah, guys. So we're not officially back. We'll be back. I think we're aiming for first or second week of March. We'll get back.
But this was. I mean, and I will say, when Flippin the Birds is back in March, it's probably not with me. Because that's when my track season. It's my track season starts.
Just quit it.
Okay. Podcast that pays me $0.
We just gotta let him talk himself into it.
Head coach of a track team that pays me a lot more than $0.
Podcast that you could drink on that pays you $0. Track that pays you dollars, but you can't drink at the track.
Okay. Recounter. Not getting paid for track, but drinking on the podcast. Getting paid for track, but drinking on my couch afterwards.
Well, you can drink. You can drink on your couch afterwards after this too. So I don't think that's not
Duck. I'm not quitting. I just don't have time. But this was our first official podcast, part of Schnaps Media. So
yes, it actually was. If you guys missed the merger, or the acquisition, actually, so we're officially official.
Yeah, you could. Sometimes you'll see our name in the newspaper.
Yeah,
that's.
Are you the angry guy on the show? According to Doug, you're the angry guy.
Apparently, I'm angry.
I've never seen you angry.
I mean, it's not going to be me. I just feel like that's against my nature, right? So
yeah, I'm not really.
I guess
I've never seen Chris angry.
I guess I'm angry. Right. But if you see here, I got some fucking bags here, so I got to go to bed.
Yeah, same thing here. But yeah, guys, we'll be back. I'll say like second week of March or first week. You know, we'll definitely let you guys know.
Content. We're posting content. So follow the Instagram, follow the Twitter if you're not already.
Morgan is working very hard on the Instagram stuff, so make sure you guys check out all that content for college prospects. But yeah, we'll be back and we'll let you guys know. Until then, I'm Brian Cameron. He's Coach Morgan Burkett.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Coach Chris Infante.
Yeah, get on our level, Brian.
Except I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting paid at all.
But you're drinking still somewhere, right? It's a correlation between the two.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Always
until next time, guys. We're flipping the birds.
Go Birds.
Yes,
Go Birds.
Sir. Yes, sir.